Hello and thanks for joining us on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television AIT. Welcome to the Signature Show. I'm Nwabuze Njoko. In this edition of the program this Sunday, Anambra Governorship Election, Ebenebe Women, now that we have a moral watershed, Abuja University quarters invasion, matters arising. Now, the collapse of 21-story building in Lagos State. Some issues in contention. Nigeria's consumption crisis. Who will break the crisis? Plus, the invasion of the residence of Supreme Court Justice Mary Odili. It is a loaded package, if you ask me, and with the added spice of corruption theory and our thank you segment. All you do is stay with us. Now, we begin today's program with thanks to goodness that the Anambra Governorship Election did not end up as the beginning of the Third World War. Now, the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB listened to and respected wise counsel against its planned one-week sit-at-home. By calling off that order 2 days to the election, voters in Anambra State got a chance to choose their next governor. Now, the deployment of lethal force to make sure that the election held and anybody could be killed was no longer a Pyrrhic exercise. But in addition to the successful conduct, the Anambra Governorship Election produced one other sterling development. Integrity has not withered in Nigeria after all. And those, especially politicians, who think that Nigeria's poor and needy can always have a price which they can pay with stolen funds to remain in power, to steal more, these people have their days numbered. Ebenebe is in Oka North local government area of Anambra State. And see what happened when one of the parties tried to buy their conscience at the election, let me add, with stolen money.
APC na yende mmadụ 5,000. Oh, you want to APC na yende mmadụ 5,000. APC na yende mmadụ 5,000. Yes. APC na gote vote.
Well, unfortunately in Lagos, the news 2 weeks ago was not as cheering as the successful conduct of election in Anambra State. Now, penultimate Monday, a 21-story building in Ikoyi, a choice area of Lagos Island, collapsed. As at yesterday, Saturday, November the 13th, 43 persons have been confirmed dead from that collapse. And those who died included the developer of the property, Femi Oshibona. Officials of the Lagos State government have been offering explanations on why the structure came down. Some have said that approval was given for only a 16-story structure, but that the developer went beyond his approval. This, of course, has been countered by other state government officials. Then there was this accusation that the now dead developer used inferior materials for the construction. The Lagos State government is assisting families to identify their dead, while it has set up a panel to unravel what went wrong. But just as it happens here in Abuja, where buildings rise before they are demolished by regulators, or the regulators are compromised to allow such buildings to remain, building regulators in Lagos State are for sale. I say so. You meet their price tag and you can build right inside the cemetery, or build a 10-story house on the foundation of a Brazilian bungalow. As for the quality of materials allowed to be used, you can use a bag of cement to cast the floor of a two-story building and use a mixture of sand and clay to mold your blocks if you know how to get about it.
Push this one like this. Push this one too. Come this side, push this one. No. Push this one. This one.
Now, the consequence is the harvest of deaths which we witnessed in the Lagos house collapse. There will be more of these collapses unless cash for service, which has become the way of the Nigerian civil servant, is changed. This is the signature show on AIT. We take a break now and return shortly. Please stay with us. When the issues matter and the need to know matters.
The chief of staff of Nigeria couldn't go to his village because it was being occupied by Boko Haram.
Politicians and political parties have massively used money to buy votes and to change the course of electoral direction.
You will also remember the very APC itself set up a Rufai committee recommending restructuring doesn't mean anything. Go back to federalism.
Or the fun and the fair to relieve everyday care.
Life is a riddle, my son. The land bled when Uvoranwen was put in shackles. Heaven wept when Saruwiwa was laid to rest.
Everything comes with the Just Too Funny. Everything comes with who I am.
The Signature Show, your show that matters, on AIT every Sunday at 2 p.m. You are still watching the Signature Show on AIT. Now, talking about corruption. This Thursday, that is November the 18th, 2021, our sister program, Corruption Story, which focuses on taking the war against corruption to the grassroots, is organizing a town hall meeting in Impape area of Abuja. That's a suburb of the Federal Capital Territory. The town hall meeting will be the second in the series. The first having taken place in Oji River in Enugu State. My colleague, Vim Martin Obiarailo, has been speaking on that event, which is already creating a buzz in the Abuja area.
Corruption.
The second edition of Corruption Story Town Hall Meeting comes up in the Federal Capital Territory as follows. Location: Labamba Junction Ground in Impape Buhari Area Council. Date: Thursday, November the 18th, 2021, and time is 9 o'clock in the morning prompt. Winners of the secondary school's anti-corruption essay competition for the Federal Capital Territory will be announced at the event. Corruption to the Town Hall Meeting, handing the war on corruption to the people.
We understand that Corruption Story is organizing another town hall. What does this town hall tend to achieve?
First of all, what is Corruption Story? For those that don't know, Corruption Story is a program which is produced by Signature TV but supported by the MacArthur Foundation. Corruption Story is one of our vehicles for the amplification of the fight against corruption in Nigeria. It's a weekly program that comes up on the network service of AIT and then some selected NTA local stations across the country. This is our second season. Our first season had lasted from 2019 to 2020. So the second season is started early this year. So part of activities to support the television program is the Corruption Tory Town Hall. And you must understand that Corruption Tory is a program which aims to break down the big language in the fight against anti-corruption. Break it down in understandable local languages. And the languages that we are using: Pidgin, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. We hope that in the years to come, we can bring in more local languages. The idea is to speak to the ordinary people about corruption in their language. You know, our catchphrase is corruption in your language. And then our objective is to ask people to follow us fight corruption. So the Corruption Tory Town Hall is what we do almost every quarter. We've done in a number of places. The last one we did in a local village in Enugu State. And this time we said, let's bring it to the local communities in Abuja, because every part of Nigeria you have local communities. So this town hall is to bring the conversation, the anti-corruption conversation, to the grassroots in Abuja. The idea is to talk to them directly, sit down with them, bring in the big names, bring in big organizations like the EFCC, the ICPC, our funders, MacArthur Foundation, other non-governmental and governmental agencies that are involved in the anti-corruption fight, to bring them with these local communities where they're using our local languages, talk about anti-corruption. What do they understand? You know, so that's the opportunity that we are all going to explore on Thursday, the 18th of November at the Labamba Labamba Junction Field in Mpape community in Abuja.
Okay, thank you very much. What activities have you lined up for this event?
Well, our activities are plenty. For instance, I told you that these women and men will participate in the conversation. So everybody's going to talk. Then we are going to listen to officials of MacArthur Foundation, for instance. They will tell us why they are spending millions of naira in Nigeria, for instance, fighting corruption, supporting organizations that are fighting corruption, boosting the capacity of media people to fight corruption, boosting the capacity of governmental agencies involved in the anti-corruption war to fight corruption. MacArthur will be talking about that. Other organizations that are involved in the anti-corruption fight in Nigeria will be there. But what we have done in season 2 is to also identify what we call the corruption wings, anti-corruption wings. People that are doing things in different ways. People who their behavior, their conduct has shown that ordinary Nigerians have capacity to resist corruption. So if you have followed our program this past months, you find out that we, from time to time, we are highlighting the activities of Nigerians who have distinguished themselves in a particular way about fighting corruption. Not too long ago, we were in Kano, where we focused on 2 police officers and 1 individual who, through their conduct, had shown that Nigerians can stand up against corruption. They were offered ₦1 million and they said no. One went to an accident scene and saw ₦1 million. He didn't corner it. He brought it back to his superiors in the police headquarters, and that money found its way back to those whose relation had died. In Anambra recently, just in the past 1 or 2 weeks, local women, resisted the temptation of being offered 5,000 each by a political party in order to circumvent the electoral process. market women who, when they go to market to sell fish or sell gari, their profit for a day could be 1,000 naira. But because this anti-corruption message is permeating, they said no, we must vote our conscience, and they voted their conscience. So we have also singled them out for recognition. So that is part of what we are going to do. We are going to signpost these people.
Okay, we understand that you chose puppet instead of citizen. Why did you choose puppet?
Because our target audience are the ordinary Nigerians, and they don't live in the city center. They don't live in Maitama. They don't even live in Maitama Extension, where we are based. They live in local communities like Mpape. The people we have invited, for instance, we've invited primary schools, secondary school teachers, we've invited Okada riders, we have invited the market women, we have invited the town, cultural town unions like the Igbo community, the Tiv community, the Yoruba community, the Hausa community, the Bagi, the indigenous people here. We've invited them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, on July the 10th, 2021, we brought you this special report after the Niger State governor raised the alarm that bandits had taken over some local government areas in the state. The governor had then warned that Abuja, the Nigerian seat of power, would be the next target. Prophetic statement. Well, 3 weeks ago, the bandits, who are in fact terrorist elements, struck in Abuja. They invaded the University of Abuja staff residential quarters, abducting 6 persons, including 2 lecturers. The kidnappers then demanded a ransom of, listen to me, 300 million naira, an amount big enough to establish a military armory. The victims of the audacious raid have been rescued, and we are all celebrating. But at the time the kidnap was going on, 2 others took place at the same time. 2 vice principals of junior secondary schools, one Mohammed Nuhu of junior secondary school Yebu, and Abubakar Abdullahi Bedako of junior secondary school Paita, all in Kwali Area Council of the FCT, were kidnapped. But to track those who kidnapped the University of Abuja 6, security operatives locked down Abuja City and turned the residents into trekking pilgrims. Ownership of a car became a curse, especially for those whose offices are in the city center. With the rescue of the University of Abuja 6, life has returned to normal. But the question is, what can we do to address Nigeria's security question? You are watching the Signature Show on AIT. Please stay with us.
At the onset of Nigeria's insurgency problem in Borno State, communities reported sighting helicopters dropping the Islamist fighters, arms, and other logistics supporting the insurgents. At that time, some commentators wrongly accused the Nigerian military of conducting those helicopter flights. In other words, some elements of the Nigerian military were accused of religious sympathy and working with insurgents to undermine the Nigerian state. The military, of course, denied the accusation, but on the whole, the security agencies seem not to have taken the story of the mystery helicopter as a credible information. With hindsight, the sophisticated hardware which Boko Haram brought into its fight against the Nigerian state shows that ignoring the helicopter story was a big error. That initial accusation of a compromised military surfaced again when, out of his frustrations on the setback in the war against Boko Haram, Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum repeated the refrain of a military whose elements were working against the national interest.
There is serious sabotage in the system. I said it before. When I was attacking Baga, I said there was a sabotage in the system. But people don't understand. Some are saying that I'm trying to condemn the Nigerian military. No, there is sabotage in the system. There is sabotage within the politicians. There is sabotage within the Nigerian military. There is sabotage within the civil servants. For us to, there is corruption in the system also. For us to succeed, we must address this, all these layers.
In 2020, a major attack again took place across 3 local government areas of Niger State. The attack lasted over 5 hours, and the attackers razed communities, killed those who resisted, and took away over 1,000 cattle. While the attack lasted, a helicopter was sighted by the escaping residents flying over the area of the attack. It only flew away after the attack was completed. Was it a mystery helicopter giving cover and information to the attackers? Some informed Nigerians argued that the helicopter must have been that of a security agency providing vital information to ground forces to react appropriately.
The helicopter hovering, reliably, we have been informed that as soon as there is a sign of the bandits, the Air Force in Kaduna and sometimes in Abuja will enforce. Oh, what is happening is the bandits will now notice the helicopter and they will now run into the cave. As soon as the helicopter hovered and leaves, they will now surface and attack, and the villagers will now say, oh, the helicopter brought them.
Again, as in the case of Borno State, Boko Haram, which released the video of his arrival and encampment in Niger State, and bandits who have taken over forests and remote locations in the state, now operate with sophisticated lethal weapons. How have they accessed those weapons? Was it the helicopter that provided the weapons? As if to resolve the mystery of these helicopters, the federal government 3 weeks ago announced a no-fly order over Zamfara State. Zamfara State has become the epicenter of banditry, to the extent that the supreme commander of the bandits was ushered into Government House Gusau to negotiate a truce because they had such sophisticated arms and ammunition that Nigeria's security agents turned tail in any encounter to stop their kidnapping and sacking of communities.
His Excellency the President has approved, based on our recommendation, the imposition and enforcement of a ban on all mining activities in Zamfara State with immediate effect until further notice. He has directed the Honorable Minister of Defense and the National Security Advisor to deploy massive military and intelligence assets to restore normalcy to that part of the country. He has also approved that Zamfara State be declared a no-fly zone with immediate effect.
Before the presidency admitted that helicopters were dropping logistics for these criminal bandits in Zamfara State, before the presidency accepted that the helicopters were involved in ferrying out illegally mined gold from Zamfara State, was there no mechanism for determining the mission, destination, and operators of helicopters in Nigeria? Who or which institution is responsible for keeping Nigerian airspace secure?
The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority should know all this. It is within their purview and their responsibility to actually grant permits within the airspace of Nigeria for civil aviation. Along with them is the Nigerian Air Force that actually should also have an umbrella defense across the country in order to monitor all this. So I'm saying that it should be in conjunction. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has the oversight and the responsibility for the entire airspace of the country, while the Nigerian Air Force has some sort of complementary role. And in fact, when it comes to defense and security, it's within their purview to also check that.
For incurable optimists, this must be comforting to hear that the federal government has put together a high-caliber committee to reinvent the Nigerian Defense Headquarters. Doing this is an admission that something is not right. But as suggested by the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, there must be layers of responsibility with a body that can centrally control and manage Nigeria's security issues.
And government should create a system that will monitor the ability of agencies to collaborate. It's key. If immigration sees something at the border and if it calls an agency, let government know that that agency has been called and has been able to respond. In the US, it is called tasking and coordination. So you have somebody who can task and coordinate this. If immigration is asked, there is somebody, an aircraft landed this evening, and it is carrying a suspected terrorist by information available. And immigration slips, didn't check the terrorists enter this country. Somebody should pay the price.
Helicopters and private jets are supposed to get clearance from the Department of State Service. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority is supposed to clear commercial flights. These agencies provide the identity, operation, destination, and mission of aircraft within their jurisdiction. But to whom do they report? And in the case of failure, as in the mystery helicopters, who should pay the price?
Well, as we bemoan the security situation in the country and how it is creating anxiety, Nigeria is facing another challenge, a consumption crisis. The statistics may not be easily captured by the National Bureau of Statistics, but eateries, mama put, roadside fish roasting businesses, and suya sellers are closing shop in their numbers. The drinking joints by the corner are turning to other businesses because many Nigerians are battling to put a meal on the family table. So the challenge of falling consumption, especially of basic food, is the subject of a special report this Sunday. Please stay with us.
Nigeria is gripped by a crisis of low consumption. Although the low consumption affects services and goods of wide range, the greater challenge is in the food sector. Nigerian government is making efforts through a number of policy initiatives to increase food production. It is also taking steps to improve the health of the population through higher protein consumption from both fishery and poultry products. Paradoxically, these policy initiatives have produced rather the opposite of their purpose. Less Nigerians today have access to regular meals and the hunger level is increasing.
Already there is a famine already in the land, because to feed now, family of 7 to feed, it takes only grace of God. Then to feed, most of our neighbors, all they drank in the night is only get carried. And many people are suffering. Nigeria have no price control. Every day it increases.
Everywhere, 1 quarter of yam, they are calling 150, 120, very small yam. Everything is going high, as if we are scattered in this country. I don't know.
Something you buy today at 1 naira, going tomorrow you might get it 3 naira or even 4 naira.
Like now, before we are selling beans, 800. Now it's 1,000 naira, 1,001. Everything, price of things are too high.
Again, the intake of protein by way of consumption of eggs, chicken, and fish is dropping drastically. The World Famine Early Warning Initiatives predicted as of September 2021 that more Nigerians will be unable to have access to food for their families. President Muhammadu Buhari, in his Independence Day broadcast on October 1st, admitted that for over 18 months, Nigerians have faced difficult times placing meals on family tables. But the president blamed middlemen for pricing food items out of the reach of the ordinary Nigerian.
The first 18 months have been some of the most difficult periods in the history of Nigeria. Since the Civil War, I doubt whether we have seen a period of more heightened challenges than what we have witnessed in this period. As our food production capacity has increased, food prices have been going up due to artificial shortages created by middlemen who have been buying and holding these essential commodities for profiteering.
As the president blames the middlemen, the high cost of food items is creating another challenge. The food vendors, restaurateurs, and fast food outlets are closing shop in their numbers. Reason: the high cost of food items means an increase in the price of items on their menu. As a result, many of their clients are being priced out of patronage.
Even spaghetti in the market, you cannot afford it if you don't have anything doing.
Person where they buy 500 naira meat before go chop for house. Now 200, you know they get buy. But now to buy meat, carry go house, Garcia is not easy. We have many customers, they are complaining, especially these people who they sell food.
Both our customer, between are fed them. So cost of living in Nigeria now is very high.
The cycle is also producing another casualties. As patronage drops in the food consumption chain, owners of these businesses are forced to lay off staff, resulting in unemployment, which also worsens the resource base of many families.
Unemployment is as a consequence of bad economic policies. There will be no stimulus to actually help the small and medium scale enterprises. That upsurge in inflation would of course bring hardship. The people whose spending power and earning abilities are much lower may not be able to suddenly afford what they normally would have been able to afford before.
Many experts have blamed Nigeria's food consumption crisis on the failure of public managers to integrate the initiatives. They say standalone policies which litter many government ministries and agencies sometimes work against one another and cancel out the expected benefits of the policies.
The cause of economic recession and the resultant hardship on the poor and on the people on the street is as a consequence of Buhari's incompetence in not only managing the economy, but also managing Nigeria's diversity.
If the economy is properly managed in such a way that our currency is stable, definitely it will bring about, if not decrease, at least stability in the cost of foodstuff in the market.
With Nigeria's security situation creating a major challenge to food production, and with both inflation and reduced family income posing a challenge of access to food, Nigeria's food consumption crisis could worsen in the future if strategic steps are not taken to harness the benefits of present policy initiatives in the forthcoming harvest season, which could be a window to stem the present slide.
Well, on Friday, October the 29th, the Abuja residence of Supreme Court Justice Mary Odele was invaded by security operatives. The operatives came armed with an arrest warrant, duly signed by a magistrate. This was part of what happened.
Where the petition came from or what?
Where did the arrest come from? Where are you people from?
We are from Special Fraud Unit 4 CID, Mibati Road, Ikoyi, number 13, Mibati Road, Ikoyi, ma. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Mibati Road, Ikoyi.
Number 13.
Yes, Mibati, yes. Ma'am. Adewuse house, Sunday Adewuse house.
See, we are two. My name is Inspector David Abu. My colleague here is Inspector Sule Yakub from Special Fraud Unit, 4 CID. Somebody can follow him.
Anybody can follow him from here.
I'm not against that.
What you have done is you invited me, so you give me time to honor this.
We are not here with the decision letter. We are here with warrant of arrest.
Where is the warrant of arrest?
Who have shown you?
Who have shown you? We allow him to see the letter.
Yes, we are here with it. We are here with the warrant of arrest, man. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Call your lawyer before you step out. They
Uh,
can't force you. Yes. Call your lawyer and let your lawyer be aware before you speak.
Because I can't even understand what they are talking about. Somebody can just walk in and say they want to arrest me for what?
And they
Say
come
that
with
there's
patience.
The Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, and the body of senior advocates of Nigeria are taking steps to get to the bottom of this frightening development. And the Nigeria police has arrested 14 persons in connection with that disgraceful invasion. But there's a dimension to this invasion that is establishing a trend that seems to encourage impunity, impatience, if not an outright lack of respect or regard for due process. In this very country, homes of judges were invaded and doors broken down because the executive felt there was corruption in the judiciary. And when they felt that due process may not vindicate the position they canvassed, or obtain the objective end of breaking those doors, they procured a midnight judgment from a sympathetic undertaker and accomplished the real objective of that invasion. In this country, the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal went about assaulting a gate man and is still sitting snugly in his position. Just 2 weeks ago, the Kenyan authorities stated that there was no record whatsoever of the arrest and ordered deportation of Nnamdi Kanu from their country. It is in this country that soldiers killed police officers on official assignment and freed a kidnapped kingpin whom the policemen had successfully arrested, and the soldiers are still free, enjoying themselves in their mami markets. In this country, a policeman can kill you for failing to roger him. It is a trend that could make you think that the invasion of Justice Mary Odele's residence is for a purpose that seems to make her become irrelevant in the affairs of Nigerian judiciary, a purpose that is intolerant of due process. Democracy and its institutional processes require patience, diligence, and respect. Righteous indignation by which you take action on assumption that you cannot tolerate a wrong or delay simply destroys democracy. The current trend is dangerous and we must be careful. That's my opinion. You're watching a signature show on AIT. Next, we say thank you. It is not always that circumstance smiles on a man, ignoring his humble beginning and raising him to stardom. But that is the story of Alhaji Dr. Mamman Shata, a humble kola nut seller who could not increase his little capital because he gave away every profit that he made. Then a sweets seller, and then community square musical clown. Mamman Shata became the most sought after Hausa griot musician in northern Nigeria. His combination of orchestra of talking drums and his praise singing prowess took him to the palaces of kings, the West African sub-region, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, France, in the United States, for his contribution to indigenous Hausa music, which covered everything under the sun, and recording over 1,000 songs. The federal government honored him with an award of the Order of the Niger, OAN. He was also honored by the Performing Musicians of Nigeria, PMAN, Kano State Government, the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, University of California, and Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, with a PhD. for preserving and protecting Hausa indigenous genre of music and putting Nigeria on the world stage, we say thank you to Oman Shatta this Sunday.
Allah hayam ni ke ku taya mini ku yana ta gurnanin da mi sa kalan gida ke gudu kalan kona ne kowace karya ta haifai a ɗan kusurwa.
And that's our package for this Sunday. But please stay with us for Corruption Story, which follows immediately after. My name is Mwabueze Njoko, and I wish you good afternoon.
My people, how una dey? Make I welcome una to Corruption Tori, the program where we dey chook eye for matter wey concern magu-magu for Nigeria. My name na Marvelous Obomman. Our people dey talk say anything wey no get head no fit get eye, and anything wey no get eye no fit sabi or see where im dey go. That one come be say anything wey we dey do, e must get person wey dey for head dey talk where we dey go and wetin we go dey do. You know say we take Corruption Tori waka go Oji River local government area of Enugu State. Last week, we bring you how the people take talk say dem no go gree for corruption again because corruption dey spoil many things even for their families. Today, we go bring you wetin people wey dey for head for this fight talk about corruption after that event. Abeg, tanda with us.
This na Corruption Tori.
To make sure say the fight against corruption in Oji River get head, Corruption Tori give 4 traditional rulers big work. They make them Corruption Tori ambassadors and commanders of the battle against corruption. Na the Oga of Signature Communications, V. Martin Obiora Ilo, na him give the traditional rulers this big work and the big hammer, make them take lead the people to kill corruption anywhere where they see am.
This na Corruption Tori.
We are now recognizing you as a Corruption Tori ambassador, an anti-corruption crusader.
Ihe mburu Nigeria bụ ihe anyị na-ekwu maka ya tata. The problem anyị nwere na Nigeria bụ mpụ na aghụghọ. Agara m General Hospital Oji River. That was about 2 weeks ago. When I got there, I cried. Ebere m akwa. Mgbe chetebe ndị niile mkpụrụ anwụ mana ha nwere ụlọ ọgwụ ka ha ma gaa nata ọgwụ. Ụlọ ọgwụ dịka ebe a gbara ọsọ, zinc niile erechagwo, ihe niile gasa. Ibe na Uji River niile onweghị ebe nwere ụlọ ọgwụ gọọmenti hospital. Win one. Nno kpatara corruption. Enye ego ga-ejere ụlọ ọgwụ, ndị mmadụ ewere ya zụwa ụmụ ha, were gawa obodo oyibo, were gowe ụlọ, were gowe moto. Like ofu onye kwuru ebe a, ndị na-ahụ corruption anwa, they will not say anything because mgbe ị natara the money, aganye bi ha nke ha. Adịnye ha anyị omenụ, o mechie ọnụ. Ibe na Uji River local gọọmenti n'ihe mmemme be anyị, ọ na-agba anya mmiri, nọ na-akpata corruption. O nwere onye na-agba m sị na ya chọrọ ka m bịa soro ha maka gọvanọ a ga-azọba na 2023. M wee jụọ ya ofu ajụjụ, nsị nke ị rụrụ arụ ịrụpụtara gịnị? Ị na-asị m bịa soro na gọvanọ. Nsị na igbugbo ọrụ a for 20 years, onye nke arụọ nke for 12 years. Nyebegwodo na Oji na-achị gosi m ofu ihe ọ rụrụ, ofu ihe, only one for 20 years. Onye nke arụọ for 12 years. Come and show me one single thing you've done for us for the 12 years in order. Now, next, I belong to your constituency. Even Uji River, ndị niile ogologo government chairman, kedu ofu ihe ha mefutagoro anyị? What are they doing? They are embezzling our money. And nobody's asking questions. Ụmụanya daga akwụkwọ, gịnị kpatara ya? Corruption. Ụmụaka na-aṅụ Igbo na-aṅụ mkpụrụ mmiri, gịnị kpatara ya? Corruption. Ụmụanya gacha university, ha na-agba ọkada, what caused it? Corruption. Like Bedike said, nwa akwụkwọ ga-anakọta oburu agba moto nata. You don't want to know. Ịma ka armed robbery ka ọ na-eme. Ịma ha ebe ihe na ihe nshiri gaa osi vụta agba moto. Ihe ma that kene Chineke gaa Thanksgiving. You are not doing that child any good. If you come and look at the Nigerian system, like I said before, here is a virus in the system. Hebrew minister, Ine Izuoshi, your children are looking at you. They know that we go ask you. Those children, you are training them to be like you in future. Because they're watching you and looking at, seeing what you're doing, see the kind of money you embezzle, budget of 100 million. You will spend only 10 million and take home 90 million. Then the system will continue to rot because of corruption. But thank God for our president, because he is doing unthinkable. Many people are going to prison, especially in the area of corruption. He's dealing with them. I listen to what I'm saying. So I know again never hear corruption. No one I say, open if we had the home, Woya Anna Rosania, Rugidia, and we're Baruru, Poshi, Hassan and Dacha was your mother. And any troop will go to Enugu, Chatamoto, Governor, Uzania and Maga Megani. I got already. Onoyan Dubia, or Lorela B. Omoyan Choriku, Omoyan Choka Boaha. Equal a second PDP Shuba, equal a second APC. But we are suffering it. Why are suffering?
We are recognizing you today as a corruption Tory ambassador, an anti-corruption crusader.
Onwe so ihe nchọrọ ka ndị Signature TV mekwuo n'ihe aha m gwatara na corruption Tory. Ogwe ya akwe ya na mpụ na gịnị aghụghọ. onwe ihe anyị mekwu ndị tata ruo echi rie nwanne echi anyị enweta ime anyị akpọkọghị Chineke ka onye ugwu nwanne anyị nwoke siri kwuo onweghị ihe anyị ga-eme ndị tata kwuo elu maka akụkọ maka corruption nweghị manakwa ebe a chi ji anyị ka na-ekwu maka ya ọ dị n'iche mana sọsọ ihe nwere ike solve the problem of this corruption bụ mme ka Chineke anyị wepụta ofu ụbọchị n'ọnwa owewe ụbọchị n'ọnwa na-abụ kpọọ anya ndị Signature TV n'ụbọchị a eweta a na-ekpere Chineke ekpere maka ezigbo ihe ha wepụtara maka corruption ga-eche ememene corruption then Chineke ananụ under the auspices of this Signature TV anwe n'onwere ụbọchị a na-asị na aga na-ekpe ekpere once in a month once in 2 months under their own program amarịa ama n'ụwa niile marịa ụbọchị ahụ ekwuo ọgwụ ndị Muslim aga na mosque akwuo maka signature tone maka correction ekpe ekpere ndị Christian dissenting ekpe ekpere anational ndị TV anụma wepụtara ekpere anụma maka corruption dị n'aka Chineke ọchị na ọ ga-anata atọ na o wetara anyị ndu nwere ike ha kwuo okwu eme corruption eguchi onye na-akpọ akwụkwọ ndụ n'imi ọ Chineke na-emeri anyị corruption ka anyị nwee olileanya ebe Chineke nọ.
On behalf of MacArthur Foundation and Corruption Tori, we are recognizing you as an anti-corruption ambassador and as a Corruption Tori ambassador.
Corruption na-awụghọkwalụ onye Nigeria nke ọ na-awụ onye achị. Corruption dị ala niile n'ụwa niile malụ nke be anyị bụ ihe nkacha njọ o mere aka chara njọ maka ndị mmachi anyị ha ekweghị anyị wofute ha na-ewofute onwe ha atụ ihe nsọrọ ha mmemme onweghị ka corruption adịghọ malụ iwu ndị n'obodo na-eme ejighị eme ihe ụfọdụ eme iwu shili ịda iwu lala ihe ịda eme iwu ihu ka ọ na-aga n'ihu ọ bụrụ moto ka ya anya iji hụ laịsensị eme asholi anya kwata ha moto abịadu sholi ịnya kwataghị ọ bụrụ corruption ka ị mere obodo ndị ọjọọ na-emecha corruption ịbụ alọkịta achịla ejide nchịgboro achị rituo atụọ nga mana o nwebeghịla anyị hụrụ ibe so ọ la aka ndị isi anyị ha socha maka na anyị ndụ laghachi ka ụlọ ụfọdụ laghachi famili ha onye achị chenji ya bido ka ịlọ ọkwa ụdị chenji anyị merela Naijiria maka chenji nwere nke mma agala ihu chenji nwere nke mma agala azụ mana isi ka ịlọ kwafu anyị na-achọ chenji nke ọma ya gawala ihu ana chenji ọma ahụ ya bido ka ịlọ chenji ọma bido ka ịlọ ụlọ anyị mee lọ anyị na-ahụkwala ihe na anyị na-ekwu maka.
On behalf of Corruption Tori and MacArthur Foundation, we are recognizing you as a Corruption Tori ambassador and an anti-corruption crusader.
When leaders created poverty, how can you fight corruption? But if government put reasonable things in position, this corruption will not be a problem to fight. But when governor eat money, president, ministers, what then do you talk of the people working under them? Workers are not paid very well. How can they deliver? The welfare of the population not taken into account. How can you fight corruption? When we are talking corruption now, we are playing, because what things are happening. But we have to start from somewhere. So I'm thanking Signature TV for starting from getting somewhere. And like my other brother said, prayers. We have to turn our face to God so that all these things will now be reduced.
A matsayin kan shugaban Hausa Commission na a local government na ka zama shugaban su cewa kuma na fight din cin hanci da rashawa a ƙasar nan gabaki daya.
taimaka ma kanmu da zuciyarmu mu sacrifice mind namu mu mai kashi ga Allah ko mu taimaka ma kanmu ko an ce mu ba da cin hanci da rashawa sai mu hana ko an ce mu ba da cin hanci da rashawa sai mu hana ko ba gaba ne idan muka hana babu ne faru da mu iyaka ne a kai mu gaba an kai mu gaba kuma gwamnati za su duba mu.
This na corruption theory.
You see, our people talk say, if you want send message to the sky, abeg, give the message to the smoke. The traditional rulers don't speak. For the people and those in government, if una get ear, make una hear am o. But if una wan pretend say una no get ear, no wahala. But make you no forget say ear wey say him no go hear, say war no good. When they cut off the head for war, ear go kukuma follow the head, fall for ground o. I don talk my own. Now here we go end corruption tori program for today. My name na Marvelous Obomman. Abeg, no forget say corruption no be your brother. E no be your sister. E no kukuma come from your kindred, community, village or town. So anywhere wey una see am, pursue am, catch am, kill am. Make we jam again next Sunday. Una bye bye yo.